Joe McCarthy is a 23-year-old young entrepreneur who cracked the code on personal branding. And today, he's here so I can grill him on that. Hi, Joe. Welcome to the Sarra Show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So when I say I'm going to grill you on that, I say that with love. But I say that because there are a lot of things out there around 5 steps to increase your audience on Instagram, or 12 steps to gain more followers, or I don't know, 10 steps to sell this product online, or they kind of like get rich quick.
Yeah.
Things are out there. And when you and I talked and when I checked out your Instagram, I immediately put you in that category. That was a judgment. I know.
Yeah.
But there's so much of it out there. And I'm someone who believes that things happen with consistency, with time. Some things just take time, right? You're not going to get a 6-pack by going to the gym in a week or so,
absolutely.
right? But that's how a lot of it is advertised, and a lot of people fall for it. Like, here's a funnel, and we'll get you 2,000 leads within a week, things like that. So it might work, it might not work, I'm not sure. But I'm curious as to what your take is on all of this.
Yeah, I mean, I try, on my personal brand, I try to be as clear as possible with the fact, like, if you scroll through my content, I'm like very clear on, hey, this stuff, it's hard work, takes time, takes consistency. I try to share my story too, because I grew up on a small farm in Virginia, and it took me 7+ years to actually like start seeing traction with my posts, with my brand, even just like launching an offer and putting myself in front of camera. Like, it took time, took years. So I'm very upfront with my audience, with even my clients, like, hey, this isn't something where you come in, you hire me, you immediately hit $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 per month within, a couple weeks, because it's just not realistic. Anything that's worth building takes a long time. And like, you can collapse the time a little bit just by hiring mentors and, programs similar like what I have, where I've basically taken 7 years of experience. I've personally invested 6 figures into myself, and I've just taken all that, put it into like a concise program that people can use as like a blueprint to see results faster. So I don't think there's no such thing as get rich quick. Anybody that says 5 steps to, becoming a millionaire, or 10K in 30 days, like, I'm on your boat. Like, that's all bullshit. Like, there's no way that, you can hit 10, 20, 30 grand per month sustainably, especially like becoming that person too, long term, in like a short period that people say. So that's my take. And
just to backtrack a little bit, you said I grew up on a farm, and I have a whole different vision for you as you're growing up on a farm, with
complete 180.
With chickens and land and doing farm work kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I guess with the technology and computers and internet and all of that, even growing up on a farm, you can sell whatever you want online.
Yeah.
So even that changed.
Yeah. Like, I actually started using social media, Facebook and Instagram, when I was like 12 years old, 13 years old. I would open up a Facebook page, post my daily chores and selling eggs. Like, I saw other farmers in my space who...
Wait, you sold eggs on Facebook at the age of 12?
I did. Yeah, because the thing is I was raising all these chickens, like you said, and I was having issues with, I guess, clients and leads, which is a lot of the issues these days, even just with entrepreneurs online. It's like, I got all this cool product, but nobody's buying it, So I had this freezer full of chicken. I had this fridge full of eggs. I was like a 12-year-old kid, and I was like, I put up road signs. I was knocking on people's doors. I was doing like the old-fashioned stuff, and nobody was buying. So I saw this farmer, buddy of mine, and he had a social media account, and he was posting daily like what he was doing on the farm, or he'd put up a post saying like, hey, I got chickens available on Saturday, and people would buy it. So what I did is I just started documenting. I started posting content on my Facebook and on my Instagram. I had this farm page, and then I started building it like a following. I got like a couple thousand followers on both accounts relatively quickly, and a lot of it was local. So they would just come every Saturday, buy my farm products, and before I knew it, I was selling out. So I think that's when it originally clicked, like, hey, I can use social media as like a tool to help people, to sell, to, make money. So I think that was kind of the segue. And then obviously fast forward 8+ years, I've built my brand, and now I help people do the same.
So there is content from content, right? 'Cause like, you can post a lot of content and it doesn't generate any sales for you. What makes a content sell versus a content that doesn't sell? 'Cause you mentioned you use content.
Yeah.
And
I think there's two ways to think about it. Like there's the obvious, which is like one of it is promoting a product, has a call to action. The other one might just be lifestyle or behind the scenes, which I do both on my social media. But I think on a deeper level, it's more about the messaging. I think a lot of people just in general, they put up content, but they don't really know why exactly they're posting or who they're posting for. So it ends up just kind of falling on deaf ears. Like nobody's actually listening to it. So I think on a deeper level, even the content that's not directly selling that I post, it's still somewhat methodical because I'm still talking directly to my ideal avatar. So like, let's say you want to figure out who you're actually talking to and who your ideal client is. Like I've done a lot of just like deep work on, who am I talking to? What are their pain points? Like what's almost like the hell that they're going through and what's the ideal outcome that they want to achieve? And like, what are those limiting beliefs or stories or just, situations that are holding them back from achieving what they want? I think by you doing a lot of that deep research, you're able to take all that stuff, put it into your content, and now you're speaking like to the soul and to the heart of your audience. I think that's where you really create like selling content. Does that kind of make sense?
yes. So if you're, let's say you're a coach, right? And you want to sell a digital product, what's the best way to go about it?
Number one is just understanding what it is that these people need. Because at the end of the day, if you're going to build like a sustainable business, and this is obviously one issue with the online get-rich-quick thing, it's like you're not actually helping them create like a sustainable business. So number one is figure out what do these people need. Again, like who's your target market? How can you serve them specifically? Like what are your unique abilities or skills that you can offer, and how do you help them specifically? So that's what I did personally, because I was decently good at like building my page and getting out to more people, building my following, and then structuring out an offer that actually sells. So I see a lot of other coaches, whether they're in fitness, mindset, health, and they want to go more online for like time freedom or location freedom, financial freedom, because I've been able to do it for myself. Now I know, okay, I can package something up into like a concise program where they can just follow what I tell them to do or follow what I say and what I've personally done. And they'll see way better results instead of spinning their wheels trying to figure it out themselves.
So what I'm hearing is you need to build it over time.
Yeah.
When you talk about a sustainable business, you mean like you need to build something, create that awareness over time.
Yeah.
So let's say you've built a brand over time and you have a following, and now you want to sell a digital product. Do you just launch it out there?
No, not really. I mean, what I would say is you should probably build a fan base first, because if you launch this product and you don't have an audience, obviously people are not going to buy it. So what I did, before I even pitched anything, before I even create, like my offer is relatively new, but I've built my following over 7 years. So I just wanted to build that fan base, make sure that my messaging was really on point. And I waited until people actually started messaging me saying like, hey, do you have like a specific program, or like, do you have, calls that you can do with me? So before I even launched a program or a product, I made sure to build my audience. I built that foundation. And we can dive into this too, is understanding like myself, like what do I stand for? What are my beliefs? What are my values? So I just tried to do a lot of deep work on myself, figuring out like, why do I even want to build this brand? Why do I want to help people with this specific thing? Because people don't have the deeper why, which is why a lot of these people, they'll be pretty consistent for a couple months and then they fall off. Or maybe they do build a business to 10, 50, 100K per month, but then they always disappear. Like you never really see them stick on because they don't really have a deep reason why. They don't have that deeper purpose, which I feel like is something you need to foster in the beginning before you even go out. Because it's brutal. Like I'm sure like building a business and helping people and coaching and all this stuff, podcasting, like everything, not only does it take time, but it's relatively difficult,
Yeah.
So if you want to like keep that consistent and sustainable, you need something to kind of back that up.
That's so true. And sometimes I've seen that even when you do have a why, if you're not connected to it,
You have to re-enroll yourself almost.
consistently re-enroll yourself because things get tough,
Yeah.
especially as an entrepreneur. I work a lot with startup founders and entrepreneurs, and they build these amazing products and companies, but things do get tough, and it's easy to want to give up.
Yeah.
Even if you have a strong why and you don't consistently get enrolled, you'll drop out.
100%. And if you're not helping people and actually getting people results, you almost like you're not as connected. Like one thing, to kind of keep going with that is to keep yourself re-enrolled. One thing I'll do is I'll go back and look at testimonials or like people that I've actually helped and like transformed. And it just kind of like re-sparks the fire. It's like, hey, you have helped a lot of people. You've transformed a lot of lives and helped people build brands, build offers and launch online where it's like before they were deathly afraid to even put themselves in front of camera. And now they're posting consistently. So that's one thing I try to do to like re-enroll myself is like look at the impact that you are making, which is why having an actual like solid product or program or offer is super important.
Yeah, the self-doubt always creeps in.
Yep.
Right? You're so young. You're only 23 years old. But I feel like I'm talking to someone who's 1,000 years old. Were you always wise, or is it through doing all the work you've done on yourself? I know you're also married with a kid, and it seems like you've already lived a lifetime.
That's what people tell me.
And you're retired already, and now you're helping people.
Yeah.
But you're only 23. Were you born this way, like Lady Gaga says?
That's a good question. I wouldn't say I was necessarily born this way. I always knew, even in high school, like I was never a good student. I tried to be, like I would actually like try to get good grades, and like almost no matter what I tried, I'd be like a C student. Same with sports. I was horrible at sports, so I was always kind of an outcast. So I wasn't necessarily popular. But one thing I did know, like for a fact, is I was meant to do something big. I knew that I wanted to work for myself. And I knew that I had some kind of passion or like, drive within me. And that's been the case ever since I was 10 or 12. Because with the chickens, going back to that, it's like we kind of just had backyard chickens. We weren't really going to make a business out of it. But like I was always the kid that would sell candy at school or sell Airheads or, I sold those eggs to like my grandparents because I was like, hey, my mom was saying that we had like 12 dozen eggs in the fridge. She was like, hey, we can't eat all these. Let's just start giving them away. And I was like, why don't we sell them for like $3, a dozen back in the day. So I was always kind of entrepreneurial, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like as you grow, as you learn, like even a few years in business, it's going to shape you in some incredible ways. So since I got in young, obviously I've had to put in the reps. I've invested a lot into myself and into mentors. And I was also a big reader. So like I was always reading books like Napoleon Hill and, Robert Kiyosaki. And I was always studying, just not necessarily like the same way most people do academically in school.
You're choosing the information that your soul was calling for to help you with your path. Mm-hmm. How old were you when you sold your first product?
It depends. I mean, I had quite a few siblings, so I would sell like candy to them when they got like money from my grandparents for their birthday or something. So I was always probably like 6 or 7, but the eggs I feel like was like the official thing. So maybe like before I became a teenager, 11 or 12, that was the first time I ever like actually sold something. And then in school, like 8th, 9th grade, I bought like a box of 1,000 Airheads and sold every single one of them, made like $900 profit. So that was when I was like, hey, not only is it cool to sell stuff, but like sales itself is really fun. So like then I kind of dove into this sales route, which, I actually partnered with a company a while back and became like one of the top sales guys there. So I also learned kind of along the way that I had sort of a skill for sales, I guess. So I think things just kind of come out like as you're in business, you kind of understand like what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses. Like organization is not like a huge strength of mine, but maybe sales is, or now posting on camera is, when before like I didn't know that, if that makes sense.
There's also that excitement when you make your first sale, right?
Oh,
like
yeah.
There's a high behind it.
Yeah.
And that high can be addictive.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, and I think so I mean, there's always different levels to it too. So I think you can almost get into this trap of like always chasing that next high. It's like you hit 10K a month, now what? It's like you hit a 10K sale, now what? It's like you're always chasing. So I try to be aware that like it's cool to chase, it's cool to have that drive, but it's like if you are always chasing, you're always after that next thing, then you're gonna end up being you're kind of like sad. Like if you're not happy or grateful for like what you have in the moment, it's hard to want to chase that next thing because your brain is like, well, when's enough? Like how much more do we need to chase? It's like we've already hit this goal, like you said 2-3 years ago. If I can just hit this goal, you're gonna be set, you're gonna be happy, and now you're there. It's like you're always chasing that. So I feel like it's always like a balance or a dance between having that drive and wanting the next level, but still being happy and grateful that I've achieved what I've achieved at my age.
If you've been feeling stuck mentally, emotionally, energetically, I created something just for you. Get Unstuck is a gentle guided workbook to help you come back to yourself. In just 10 steps, you'll clear your mind, soften into truth, and choose a new way forward. It's simple, powerful, and made with so much love. If this speaks to you, you'll find the link in the show notes. You also have this quiet power about you. You're not one of those loud salespeople on your face type of energy,
Yeah. No, people have told me that I'm not, I'm calm under situations, and I'm also just like calm in general. Like that's the thing about those online digital marketers is when they're like really in your face. Like a lot of times I've met these people in person, especially being here in South Florida, and they almost are a little bit different on camera, like in those reels versus in person. So like when you go on my page on social media, I try to be as authentic as I can, where whatever I'm saying to you on a podcast or just at the dinner table or just talking, it's going to be generally pretty similar to what I'm putting in my reels. Like I'm not as loud and in your face because that's just not who I am, and I'm not going to change who I am on camera versus in person.
Are you spiritual? Do you practice any sort of like meditations and things like that keep you in check?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I'm pretty open-minded. I'm a Christian Catholic, so like they're pretty, strict, I guess you could say. So like I grew up Catholic, and I'm still Catholic, but I'm definitely open-minded because I think I was talking to you before this is I had a mentor, and he was very spiritual, like woo-woo as you could say it, and like he had me do meditations and had me like go back and kind of like discover my upbringing and like how that would have impacted how I think about myself today, whether good or bad. But yeah, I'm definitely a spiritual person overall.
When you were going through that journey of discovering who you are and what are some of the beliefs that have shaped your mind, or I think of them more as like things are on top of who you are.
Yeah.
And then you start to like look at them and be like, remove them, and then you discover, like, because it's always there. It's not like
exactly.
It goes anywhere. It's like a treasure that you discover yourself back again.
Yeah.
Right? So when you were going through that process, how was it for you?
It was interesting because I feel like a lot of it was almost like understanding the psychology in a way, because I like would think certain things about myself. Like, maybe I thought that, well, I guess my coach, he basically shed light on like why I am so driven, or why I want to build this big brand, or why I wanted to put myself in front of camera and like start to like really push hard at like getting known. And it kind of stems back to school, where it's like in school, like I mentioned, I was not super popular. I was not good at sports. I did not fit in. So like people would actually pick on me and kind of like label me as just like dumb, So I almost felt a need to almost prove them wrong. And at the same time, I almost wanted to be seen, because in high school, I felt like that kid that was not really seen. So I feel like I almost overcompensated by building this personal brand and like really pouring my heart and soul into this and posting content, going viral and trying to reach more people, because like deep down, I just wanted to be like a boy that was seen. Like I wanted people to notice me and acknowledge me. And so I even have a lot of my clients go through like the 7 levels of why, where like you list, why do I want to build this brand? and you just go deeper and deeper, and you kind of get to the root of it. Because like you could say, I want to build a brand because I want to help people, but it's like,
Really, why?
Why do you actually want to like that can help, but again, going back to your why, like why do you actually want to build this? And so I realized like deep down, I just want to feel seen.
So you ask people why 7 times?
Yeah, because usually around like the 7th, 8th time, you get a different answer. It's like, why do I want to build this brand? Because I want to help people. Why do you want to help people? Because, and like what I've noticed is like as you get deeper and deeper, a different answer, something that you probably didn't really connect. And like, so I did that with my coach, and it kind of like connected the dots. I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. How was it for you when you discovered that? Was it painful? Was it you felt relieved or?
Yeah, I thought it was almost weirdly exciting because I was like, because I knew I had this drive and I knew that I wanted to post content, but I was like, why am I so like obsessed with this? And so he helped it kind of like make sense. So I wasn't scared or, sad or anything like that. It was more like excitement or like, when you figure something out, it's like, oh, that makes perfect sense. Yeah. It was more like that. I was like, oh, okay.
It's a discovery.
Yeah.
And usually, like when that happens, because I'm doing it because I want to be seen, right? And I think most people either want to really be seen or heard.
Yeah.
And once you discover and you're like, okay, that's what it is, then I feel like the weight of it is not there anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? You don't have to prove anything anymore. And then you almost do it from a different place then.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, I mean, I think as I learned that, I was like, now I can almost do it for me. Like I don't have to go build this brand because I need other people to look at me and see me. I can build it because I just like, posting content. I like doing this. It's my passion. I like helping people, and it makes me feel fulfilled. So yeah, you can almost like restructure and reposition why you're doing it to make it so not as like detrimental or even like toxic, depending on like what your beliefs are, like where it actually stems from.
And it doesn't come from a place of chasing anymore. I'm doing it because I want to do it.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you got married super young.
Yep.
Okay.
Got married at 20.
High school sweetheart?
Mm-hmm. I was super blessed, to meet her. So we knew each other for at least 4 years before we actually got married, and then got married, had a baby 2 years later, and then moved down here. So it's like you said, I've kind of lived a crazy life since, my high school years.
So this must be pretty different for you from your life in Virginia.
Very different.
How are you liking it?
So far, so good. I love it. Like I don't necessarily see South Florida or Miami as a super long-term spot because I honestly want to have a big family, land, a farm, maybe one day, kind of go back to my farm roots. So I think this I feel like people go through seasons. So I feel like at this point I'm in a season where I'm building the page, I'm building the brand, helping people, getting myself out there and trying to just help as many people as possible by, going on podcasts like this or just meeting people in person. I've gone to a lot of networking events around here and just met a lot of people. And I feel like it also fosters growth around here. It's a lot more, like I said, fast paced versus Virginia. The reason I didn't like it at the time is just because I was like this, big fish in a little pond. And I felt like I just couldn't really connect a lot with a lot of my peers or just people in general, because it almost seemed like it was a place to just chill, retire, relax, live a good life, which I do want down the line. But in this phase in my life right now, I want to, hit the next goal or help more people or build the brand. And I'm very driven. I think that this environment, with the right circles, fosters that and helps to kind of pull it out of you and help you reach the next level.
You mentioned big fish, little pond, and then there's small fish.
And now I feel like a small fish in a big pond.
Big, right? And it's interesting because there are different perspectives around that. Some people say it's better to be the big fish in a little pond.
Yeah.
But you can't grow when you're the big fish in the little pond. I mean, how do you grow in that?
Yeah, and also kind of like strokes your ego a little bit. You're like, oh, I'm so high and mighty. And you come down to Miami for a couple weeks. You're like, wow, I'm not.
I'm not what I thought.
Yeah. Which it like for me, it actually like drives me. Like I feel like a lot of people move down to Miami, or they even just see people in person, or not in person, but like on social media, and they're posting the flashy lifestyle, or they're making a ton of money, or they're helping a ton of people. They have a hot girl, and it's like they got the cars. It's like you're comparing yourself to them in a way that's like, hey, these people are so successful, which means I'm like lying shit, like I'm a loser, you know? So it's like I try to come at this as like I'm not looking at all these big dogs around Miami and being like, oh, they have so much more success than me, so much more talent or better cars. It's like I don't look at that and then put myself down. I try to look at that and be like, if they can do it, so can I. Like it's almost like motivating me to hit that level as well. Because I'm also a big believer that like I'm not anything special. Like I was again a terrible kid at school. I don't have some special talent or abilities. Like yeah, if you're Michael Jordan, maybe you have some physical attributes that led to your success. But the cool thing about online entrepreneurship is like people are relatively the same. And as I continue to grow and meet new people and like bigger people as well that are like big dogs in the space, it's like you realize they're just regular people. Like I met Ed Milet and he's shorter than me. I'm like, dude, this is just a regular guy. Like like he just wasn't scared. He took action. He had the courage to keep on going and stay consistent over years and years, and that's why he has the success. But he doesn't have some special skill or ability, and neither do I.
It's true that once you meet someone in person, you're like, you first of all, you're like, oh, you exist.
Yeah.
Like in like in real. It's
Yeah,
not
it's
just
wild.
yeah. And you're like, okay, yeah, you're a human being.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who do you look up to right now?
I feel like I've always looked up to my dad because he's always been, there for me, and he raised 12 kids, believe it or not. And, he makes a decent amount of money. He's built his business. He's a lawyer. And I feel like he also has a good like family balance. Like he's not always working, but he's also not always like with the family because he also has a mission. So I would say my dad. In the entrepreneurship space, Garrett White is someone recently. I don't know if you know him, Wake Up Warrior, but he's always been super cool. So I've been following his stuff. He actually recently moved like 20 minutes away from my area. I just saw him speak in person. So he's crushing it. Like he's also big online and building his brand. He's launched the coaching a decade ago. So he's someone that I see as like, he's sustainable, he's consistent, he's getting people real results. And he also is a big family man. He's got like 5 kids. So he also is super badass, crushing it.
How many kids do you plan on having?
Ultimately, it's up to my wife because I'm not the one popping them out. I think.
Good answer. Very good answer.
I would say if I had to choose, probably 4 to 6. Like again, my family, we had 12, so that's like on the high end. But I also don't want just like 1 or 2. Like I want to give my daughter siblings pretty soon, and then I think down the line, at the end of the day, like I'm not gonna be on my deathbed being like, look at all the millions I made. I'm gonna be like, look at all the kids and like family that's surrounding me. So I think 4 to 6 is like a good
4 to
good
6,
range.
yeah. I come from a family of 10, so
Wow, I did not know
so
that.
I get it. I get,
get it.
the dynamics and
Yeah,
all of
I think
it.
there's like a good balance.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier that you read a lot of books. What is your number one book?
Love them or hate them. I think the 10X rule at the time was like simple enough to where, like by Grant Cardone, I think the 10X rule, it's like simple enough to understand because at the time I was probably 13 when I read it, or 14. And there's a super simple concept. Like whatever your goal is, like 10X that. Like basically like have bigger goals, shoot for the stars. Cause again, like I think the goal is like, if you don't hit it, you're at least gonna end up somewhere, or like shoot for the moon and you're gonna end up in the stars. So I think that book was like super straightforward, simple. And it kind of like pushed me initially to like have a good foundation of setting big goals for myself. Cause at the time, when I was 15 or 16, I was like, hey, 5K a month, that'll be amazing, And I was like, wait, no, I gotta shoot for like, I didn't 10X it at the time because I was like, I want to be reasonable, but I think I shot for like 10, 15K and I ended up hitting like 10K. And I was like, if I didn't set that bigger goal and kind of have that bigger thing to strive for, I probably wouldn't have hit that slightly bigger goal. So I think people underestimate what they can achieve, especially like early on. I think one limiting belief I had was because I was young, people wouldn't hire me, or because I was young, people wouldn't take me seriously, or I couldn't make enough money, or And when I say enough, I mean like, as much as I wanted to make. So I think at the time, the 10x rule was really good for me to be like, screw it. I'm going to set this really big goal. And even if I don't hit it, I'll still end up way bigger than I would have if I just set that like small, like reasonable goal.
Right. Because there's a whole smarts rule around goals.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of companies actually follow that. And I always try to push for more when I'm coaching. But not always, but sometimes the pushback is that's impossible. And when it seems so impossible, we're going to disconnect from it. We're not even going to take it seriously.
Yeah.
And that's where the work needs to be done, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I was also very like strategic with my goals. So, like if I was like, let's say a 16-year-old kid, I'm not going to shoot for 100K a month, like it takes you 7, 8, even 9, 10 years to hit something like that. So at the time I was like, okay, 4 or 5K at that time was too small. 50K is a little bit too big. So let's just like settle for 15K. And I was like, it's something where I know it's possible. I've seen people do it, but it was also a goal scary enough for me to be like, okay, now like the real work begins. I really got to dig deep and try to hit this goal. So it was very methodical.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you feel seen now?
I mean, to a certain extent, I think I'm always striving. I don't even know if I'm necessarily striving to be seen by like other people. I think it's more like I just want to live up to my potential. Like God, I feel like God put me here in this time, this day for a reason. Like I'm God's highest form of creation. I have a free will. So I feel like I almost need to like live up to, what I could potentially achieve. So I feel like when I realized that I was originally building the brand to almost like get my classmates to like see me, which I think is stupid, kind of to think about it, I think
it's not stupid. I mean, as kids, we just want that sense of belonging and love and connection. So
yeah. So at the time, I kind of realized that, and I was like, when I'm 30 or 40, I'm not going to want to build this brand because I want my classmates to see me. I think it's more like I want to live up to my potential. So I think it's less about being seen at this point and more about, am I living up to my potential? Am I, that 2.0 version of Joe McCarthy?
When I did that work, because I did similar work to yours on me a while ago. And one of the main things I realized, like when I went even a little deeper, outside of others seeing me, it was about me seeing me.
Yeah.
And when I realized that was kind of like, my mind was blown.
Yeah.
Because there were things in me that was definitely trying to avoid to see or be with or witness.
Yeah.
And that definitely brought me home and gave me peace, because that day I decided I was going to be my best friend.
Yeah.
And I was going to see me in all kind of phases or shapes or forms or whatever shows up in me. I was going to make the space.
Yeah. We often make ourselves our worst enemy. Like if you think about some of the things you say to yourself, like on a daily or weekly basis, it's like if you go say that to your friends, you're not a very good friend. So it's like you're your most important person at the end of the day, So like I think that's also super important. That's what my coach was trying to help me foster, is like a good relationship almost like with myself and how I treat myself or look at myself or talk to myself, because words are power. So it's like if you're saying these certain things to yourself or about yourself, like these stories that we almost like consistently go back to, like,
it's
oh,
automatic.
I'm not smart. It's like subconscious. Like we don't even necessarily think about it, but like when we say it or think it, it's like you're almost reinforcing to your brain, like, yeah, you are dumb. You are young, unsuccessful.
It's automatic. It shows up, and it's part of being human. I don't think we can ever get rid of it 100%. I think what we could do is be aware of it, and as we are aware of it, we can change the dialogue we're having with ourselves. But it
never goes away.
It never goes away. I don't think.
I
think
mine's still there.
Yeah, I think the deepest level is the awareness and presence of like, oh, and then being curious with, oh, look at that part of me telling me all those crappy things about myself. Okay.
Yeah.
instead of fighting it or judging it or pushing it away because you can't really win.
Yeah, exactly. Just have to be aware.
What's the most you've made in a month?
Like 60K profit.
Okay. Not
I'm
bad.
shooting for 100K. That would be like the ultimate goal for 2025 is 100.
Not bad, not bad, not bad at all. So tell me about who's your main client and how do you help them?
So my main client is
You called it avatar earlier.
client avatar.
Okay.
So, and one thing about that too is originally I set out to help like male entrepreneurs and like business owners. And one thing I realized is as I was posting content and signing on clients, like it kind of shifted. So another thing, just like a quick tip is, you can choose a specific client avatar, but sometimes your niche or avatar finds you. So like I had people starting reaching out to me who didn't fit my market, if that makes sense, but they needed help. So like fitness coaches, for instance, I didn't really have my eye on fitness coaches, but whether you're male or female and you do like in-person training, a lot of these people I realize they want to go more online. So they want to create more freedom. They don't want to be like stuck in the gym or working these hours for like 50, 60 bucks an hour. They want to create like an online program. So one thing I found is fitness coaches or even health coaches, like holistic coaches, basically anybody that has a value who they want to offer to the marketplace. They just don't know how to like package it up. That's like my client market is like, okay, I have value. I know I can help people, and I know I want to use my brain and go more online to create like a more free business where it's like I have time freedom, location freedom, financial freedom. So that's like the main person that I personally help.
Okay. And how do you help them?
So there's 4 main things that I help people do. Number 1 is build out an offer. So I help people essentially structure or refine their offer because a lot of people don't have good, solid offers. So if you can't help people, you need to do more, deep research. If you can't make enough money, then it's not sustainable. You're not going to have a successful business. So we go over price points. We go over, do you want it to be group, in person, one-on-one, Zooms, lives, modules. Like we go through the whole process. And we also go over pricing because a lot of people undercharge what they're worth. And that also stems back to stories, or that stems back to like the mindset or the confidence. So a lot of my program, the first couple weeks is really diving into your mindset as an entrepreneur, like understanding your worth, understanding what you should be charging, why you should be charging that, and again, understanding your target market. So pillar 2, after we've built out some sort of offer, then we can move into, okay, let's optimize your page, make sure it looks professional, because we want to position you as the authority in your space. So I help people essentially tweak their content, bio, highlights, the whole 9 yards. But even on a deeper level is the messaging that we kind of talked about. Because again, you could post a ton of content, but if you're not really speaking to the right client market in a way that makes them want to work with you or convert into a client, then you're gonna have a really hard time signing on clients. So I help them really dial in their messaging to the point that they basically know their audience better than the audience even knows themselves because they've done the research. So that's step 2. Then step 3 is kind of where it gets fun, lead generation. I do a lot of outreach. People say, go run ads, do paid marketing. I don't think paid marketing should even come into play until you've signed up like 15 clients in like, a good chunk of time, because the reason for that is a lot of people will go into paid marketing super early, put all their eggs in this one basket, and they don't really build up the organic side first. So what I see a lot of people do, and I've even had buddies where they'll use Facebook Messenger or Ads Manager and start building up clientele using only ads. Their manager or ads, manager gets shut down, and now they don't get clients because like they haven't built up the foundation, they haven't built the organic side. So I help people really start off with a solid foundation, the way I have, with content, organic marketing, not paid marketing, because I think if we can build up just organic marketing first, then move into paid once this is basically confirms like, okay, people want this, people are vibing with this, people are seeing transformations from this, then you can go scale it with ads down the line, which I also teach. And then step 4 is what I call scale. So this is pretty much at the end of the program where you obviously don't want to be like in the business, just like doing all the nitty gritty DMs or whatever. So I help people create systems and processes for their content so they can be super consistent with that. They can batch it, within an hour or two on a Saturday, and they have weeks worth of content. So they're not like scripting and researching and editing and filming all in one day. I have it very structured out, very methodically, and then helping you create systems and processes for lead gen. So you don't have to just be, again, like in the weeds, getting your own leads. So that's pretty much as a whole, 30,000 foot view, how the program works.
That's amazing. And you came up with that program.
Yeah, years of trial and error.
And is there a fixed price for it all, or is it different?
As of now, I don't know when this is coming out, but as of now, it's 4K. People have told me to charge 6, 8, even 10K, but I think 4K is a good price at the moment. So if you guys are watching this and you want to DM me, I'll honor that price, even if it's years down the line.
And how long is the program?
So the program is 90 days, and you get, calls with me one-on-one, modules. You get access to my database of like people that I've hired for editing or outreach or pretty much the whole 9 yards. You get access to a community group on Slack. So we hop on group calls as well every single week. You can come on and ask questions. Then you get worksheets, action items. I try to make it very customizable as well. So a lot of my like worksheets and stuff, I personally will customize for the client to make sure that they're actually getting the results that they need to be seeing. So yeah, that's basically the whole program in a nutshell.
That's amazing, Joe. That's incredible. So if you guys are watching, I usually don't do this on my show, but you're awesome, and I love
appreciate you.
I love what you shared and your authenticity and the upbringing of how you got here. So if you guys are watching, definitely check out Joe. I'm going to put it on the show notes, but it's Joe McCarthy.
Yep.
And you can find him on Instagram. Can they email you anywhere?
Yeah. At Real Joe McCarthy on Instagram is probably the best place to find me. You can check out my content, click the link, and email, text, whatever works.
Is there anything else you want to add, Joe? Anything you want to share?
I mean, at the end of the day, if you want to do yourself a service, and also, Sarra and I, it's taking action. You could watch this whole 1 hour interview or however long it's been, but if you don't actually take this and like implement it into your life, or take some of the things we've said and like really internalize it, then, it's not going to help you too much. So I'm a very, very big action taker. There's always going to be fear. You're always going to be scared of, certain things, what other people are going to think. But at the end of the day, like you're not going to regret things that you didn't do. You're going to regret things that you didn't do instead of actually taking action. And even if you fail, at least you won't have those regrets at the end of the day. So I'm just big into implementation, taking action, and taking what you learn from this conversation and finding some positivity from it.
Thank you so much for being here, Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you
for
I
having
really
me.
appreciate you. You guys don't forget to subscribe, hit the subscribe button, and I will see you next time for another amazing, powerful, authentic, raw, beautiful conversation. Thank you for watching. Let's take a moment to reflect on the power of purpose. Sefamar, a leader in assembling vehicles in Morocco, builds more than machines. They create the essential vehicles that move us forward, connecting people, building cities, and enabling progress. Just as their trucks and buses carry people and materials, bringing to life a vision of growth and development, we too are vehicles, carriers of ideas, dreams, and deeper truths. At the Sarra Show, we embrace what it means to be human and to serve a purpose beyond ourselves. When we surrender to that purpose, we unlock our true potential. Sefamar's vehicles connect communities. We, in turn, connect hearts and minds. Thank you for joining us in this shared journey of creation and connection. Together, we are all vehicles for something greater.